Alright guys, so what we're going to do today is change my air filter, and I'm also going to pull part of the intake and take a look at that baffle. And so we're going to take a look and see if there's any deterioration, if it looks like it's wearing. I wouldn't expect it, but we're going to look at it anyway, because normally this is on a vacuum here. It's sucking, so it's holding that thing pretty tight, but you never know. Always worth checking it. I'm going to use an 8mm on everything right here. 8mm will do these clamps, and it'll also do these two screws right here that hold the air cleaner in, and then we'll just go from there. So there's two clamps, there's one here and there's one over here. It's on the back side. I've got a deep well, but you don't need it. It's just what I have. So let's go ahead and unscrew these and go from there. And when you put these back, there's a little notch that fits in. You want to also check these things and make sure they're not corroded or something, because they do get corroded. I'll loosen it up pretty good. And then this other one over here. And I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't need to. I don't like pulling all this stuff off unless I really got a good reason, because there's always a chance that you can put it back and maybe create an air leak. If you're careful, you're not, but I have seen some trucks come from the factory. One particular I remember hearing about was the intercooler line was loose. So, you know, it pays to be careful when you're fooling with these intakes. I've still got the one that I dropped somewhere. I thought I heard it hit the concrete, but I'm not seeing it right offhand. We'll have to find that. I hate to leave it because, even though I can get another one, I hate to leave it because there's always a chance that it can fall through and either give you a flat tire. And of course you don't want it rattling around in your engine somewhere. Fortunately, I didn't have this apart, so I don't have to worry about it being in there. It all looks pretty good in there. A little silicone oil on here will help. I'm going to be doing my transmission fluid. I hadn't forgot about that. I just haven't got around to it, but I will. I've got my cable in the way. So we want to keep this clean. And this looks fine. I mean, this looks like the day I put it in there, actually. Let me see if I can get it up in the camera view. Which way do I need to go here? Right there. Yeah, this looks fine. This is all, it's all clean. Can't tell because of my dirty hands, but there's no dust or anything in there, so I'm confident that all looks good. I can see the turbine inlet from there. That looks good. They got this duckbill thing. This is one butt ugly thing, though. I'll grant you that. You know, the foam was right here. Just clip under here. I took it off. There's no advantage to taking it off other than just, for me, my truck's pushing 10 years old, so I didn't want it to deteriorate and getting sucked into the turbocharger. If you've seen my test on this, I did 8 wide open runs with and without this thing. And here's the 30 side. Let me see if I can focus on that. And there goes my air compressor as usual. And this filter's not bad at all. You can see it could easily go 30,000. But since I got a new one, I'm going to go ahead and change it. So let me go get that. We'll do that. As I mentioned, I dropped one of these screws a while ago. I thought I heard it hit the concrete, but I don't see it right now, but I'm going to find it. And when I go to deal tomorrow, if I have to replace that screw, hopefully I don't, because, you know, that's like a flat tire if it wiggles down in there somewhere. But anyway, I'll replace these two hose clamps, and it's not critical because they're not, you know, it's just kind of superficial right here. But you know, being the anal man that I am, also scratch around in here and make sure that that's free of debris, which it wasn't, but it is now, and I'm going to vacuum that. These are the things that these are some of the things that you get to do when you do it yourself. The dealer or anybody else is certainly not going to do it. So this is an active air box. It's very similar to the ones you buy aftermarket, which is why I don't worry about the ones aftermarket. It switches air from the hot to cold sort of thing, depending on the conditions. I believe these things are up to about 80 bucks now at the Ram dealer, which is, to me, completely ridiculous. But there she goes, ready for Texas. I'm gonna go and clean this up some. This thing here, you can see it's got a little rust on. I'm gonna get rid of that. There's some little notches here, one here, and then one around here, and that'll help you orient this clamp where you'll be able to tighten it. Same thing with this big one here. Make sure that you get these in there, and then around here there's another little nub. It doesn't do much, but it's there and it's for orientation. And what'll help is if you kind of lube this thing up a little bit with silicone. Don't get too carried away with it, but just the outside of it. Let's do this out here. It's not going to hurt the engine or anything like that by doing that. But whatever works for you, just make sure you get it on all the way. And then we're going to put, before we put that on, we're going to put this on. It just slips into the back. Rotate this till it feels right. Before I tighten these down, I want to make sure that this is all aligned. There's nothing in a bind here. This is all the way on, which it's not. So you want to make sure you get all that, because you don't want any air leaks. So push this on good. And it looks good. It's all, clamps are lined up. This clamp is lined up. This one on all the way. You got to make sure. See the little notch here that tells you where to be. Pay attention to all that if you don't want to do it twice. And if you're going to, which I recommend, checking these other clamps, you're going to need some really long extensions like this to get down in there. I use 1/4 inch. You can use 3/8 if you want. Just don't get too carried away with the tightness, but it needs to be snug. This is gonna pretty much wrap it up, guys. The thing that I gotta do now is go find that screw I dropped. Carelessness. And like I said, we'll be doing the transmission fluid hopefully soon. And that's pretty much gonna do it. Just tighten these clamps back up. You can see that this thing is A1 shape as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any issues there at all as far as anything fixing to break or brittle plastic or anything like that. That all looks fine. So I'm leaving the foam off for right now. So we'll conclude this, guys. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. I appreciate you guys watching my video. And until next time, adios.